Ladies and gentlemen, today we explore the hidden universe within you, the subconscious mind, a silent architect operating beneath awareness, yet shaping every decision, emotion, belief, and behavior you carry. The conscious mind may believe it leads your life, but the subconscious is the true captain steering the ship. It is the unseen force writing your habits, your fears, your passions, and your destiny. Most people leave unaware of it, moved by impulses they cannot trace, reacting to patterns they never examined, and becoming prisoners of mental scripts written long ago. But those who learn to understand and influence their subconscious unlock extraordinary power. The power to reshape their identity, transform their life, and rise beyond limitation. The subconscious mind records every experience, every emotion, every word you say to yourself. It does not judge or analyze, it absorbs, stores, and obeys. This means your internal dialogue matters, your repeated thoughts sculpt your future. People who constantly tell themselves "I can" build pathways of strength, while those who say "I am not enough" carve trenches of doubt. To understand the subconscious is to understand that you are not defined by events, but by the meaning your mind attached to them. Think of your subconscious as fertile soil. Whatever seeds you plant, fear or confidence, chaos or discipline, self-doubt or self-belief will grow. Many people water seeds of insecurity daily through negative thinking, past trauma, and limiting beliefs. They wonder why success feels far away, not realizing the enemy is not outside, it's inside. But the same mechanism that creates weakness can also create greatness. Repetition builds identity, and alignment between thought, emotion, and intention changes reality. Your subconscious controls habits, and habits control life. If you repeatedly act from fear, fear becomes your identity. If you consistently act with courage, even in small moments, courage becomes second nature. The subconscious does not understand time. It relives childhood wounds as easily as present problems. That's why healing isn't forgetting, it's reprogramming. The moment you begin replacing old emotional scripts with empowering beliefs, your life begins to shift. Transformation doesn't start with action. It starts with internal permission to become more. To master the subconscious is not to fight it, but to train it. Through visualization, gratitude, consistent discipline, and purposeful repetition, one programs new beliefs into the subconscious. Olympians visualize success long before the medal ceremony. Great leaders rehearse confidence before they ever take a stage. They are not lucky. They understand the mind's machinery. When thought and emotion align toward a goal, the subconscious moves mountains. Those who ignore their subconscious live on autopilot. Those who study it become architects of destiny. You are not simply your past or your habits. You are whatever your subconscious believes you are. And the extraordinary truth is this: you can teach it to believe anything. The moment you awaken to that power, life stops happening to you and begins responding to you. Your subconscious is not a silent passenger. It is the engine, and the moment you learn to command it, you become unstoppable. The subconscious mind operates in the shadows, silently shaping your every move, feeling, and belief long before you consciously realize it. Most people assume they think their thoughts, choose their reactions, and consciously decide their behavior. But the deeper truth is that much of what you do, what you fear, what you desire, what you avoid, and how you see yourself, was decided by a hidden system working behind the scenes. This system is not emotional chaos. It is structured, powerful, and immensely influential. The subconscious mind stores every experience, even the ones you forgot, every emotion you suppressed, every tone of voice you heard growing up, every disappointment you didn't know shaped you, and every praise you didn't realize empowered you. It is the internal library of your life, and it never takes rest. While your conscious mind sleeps, your subconscious stays awake, processing, building associations, and reinforcing beliefs. Think about how you drive a car, tie your shoes, or recognize someone's tone instantly. These actions feel automatic because your subconscious learned them long ago. But the same mechanism that makes life easier can also trap you when negative programming takes root. If as a child someone told you you're not good enough, the conscious mind might forget the moment, but the subconscious remembers and treats it as truth. It doesn't reason, it accepts. That is the power and danger of this silent operator. It doesn't choose what is beneficial or harmful. It simply obeys repeated patterns and emotional imprints. You can consciously desire success, but if subconsciously you believe you are unworthy, every action will betray you. You will hesitate, self-sabotage, procrastinate, and justify failure, not because you are weak, but because your subconscious is simply protecting the reality it knows. The subconscious mind is the invisible script of your identity. People say, "This is just who I am," without realizing who they are is often a collection of old emotional memories and unconscious conditioning. When someone avoids opportunities, it may not be laziness. It may be a subconscious fear of rejection. When someone repeats the same relationship patterns, it may not be fate. It may be subconscious attachment to familiar emotional environments. Understanding this shifts blame into awareness. Life stops being a punishment and becomes a reflection, not of what you consciously want, but of what you subconsciously believe. But here lies the miracle. This silent force is not fixed. It can be trained, reshaped, and reprogrammed. Just as repeated trauma can bury confidence, repeated intention can resurrect it. Every affirmation, every visualization, every act of discipline, every moment of mindfulness is a communication with the subconscious. Over time, it rewrites your internal language, it learns, it adapts, it evolves, and as it changes, your behavior shifts naturally without force. Confidence flows where doubt once lived. Peace replaces anxiety. Strength rises where insecurity ruled. The subconscious mind is not your enemy. It is a loyal servant waiting for direction. When you learn to guide it instead of letting it guide you blindly, you stop living on psychological autopilot and start consciously shaping your destiny. The subconscious mind is a guardian of emotional survival, meaning one of its primary functions is to protect you, not to evolve you. It learned long ago that pain is dangerous, rejection wounds deeply, and uncertainty feels threatening. So it builds invisible barriers: hesitation, doubt, fear, procrastination, not to ruin your life, but to keep you safe from experiences it believes might hurt you again. This is why so many people say they want change yet feel an unseen force holding them back. Change represents the unknown, and to the subconscious, the unknown is unsafe. Even if your current life is unsatisfying, it is familiar, and familiarity equals survival. This is why someone can desire love yet sabotage relationships, because vulnerability once led to heartbreak. They may crave success, yet avoid risks, because failure once felt humiliating. They may dream of a bold life, yet retreat into comfort, because discomfort once felt overwhelming. Your subconscious would rather keep you in a cage made of memories than let you walk into unfamiliar territory without protection. The protection instinct also explains why emotional wounds do not disappear simply by wanting to move on. The subconscious does not heal through logic. It heals through safety, repetition, and emotional replacement. You cannot simply tell yourself, "I am not afraid," and expect transformation. The subconscious responds to emotional proof, not reasoning. It needs to witness you surviving a situation you once feared. It needs to see that being rejected will not destroy you, that taking responsibility won't collapse your identity, that uncertainty does not equal danger. Every time you face discomfort intentionally, the subconscious updates its beliefs. Every time you choose awareness over avoidance, the protective wall lowers. But until then, avoidance becomes a strategy, not because you are weak, but because your subconscious is convinced you must avoid emotional danger at all costs. The most profound realization comes when you recognize that what you call self, doubt, or self-sabotage, is actually misdirected self-protection. The part of you that holds you back is not evil or broken. It is wounded and cautious. It learned from pain, and it remembers. When you were ignored, belittled, abandoned, or frightened, your subconscious stored that moment as a survival lesson. Now, whenever life offers something similar, a risk, a relationship, an opportunity, that old wound whispers, don't try, don't trust, don't hope. The fear is not of the future, it is of reliving the past. And because the subconscious cannot distinguish between memory and possibility, it reacts to imagination as if it were reality. This is why courage is not the absence of fear. It is moving while fear exists. Every small act of courage teaches the subconscious a new rule. I can handle this. Healing begins when you stop treating your subconscious as an enemy and start treating it as a scared ally. Instead of forcing yourself harshly, you guide yourself gently. Instead of saying, "Why am I like this?" you ask, "What is my mind trying to protect me from?" That question changes everything, because understanding turns fear into compassion, and compassion turns resistance into cooperation. When the subconscious finally believes you are safe to grow, change becomes not a struggle, but a natural unfolding. The subconscious mind communicates through emotion, symbol, and instinct, not logic. This is why you can know something rationally yet feel the complete opposite emotionally. Someone may logically understand that a crowd isn't dangerous, yet still feel anxiety in social settings. Another may know they deserve love, yet feel unworthy when intimacy approaches. The subconscious does not speak in sentences. It speaks in sensations: tightness in the chest, heaviness in the stomach, sudden anxiety, an inexplicable urge to withdraw, or a powerful attraction to something familiar. These reactions are not random, they are messages coded in emotional language. Every instinctive pull, every feeling that rises without explanation, every dream, every recurring fear is communication from a deeper layer of your psyche trying to express what you consciously ignore. This is why dreams, imagination, and intuition matter more than most people realize. At night, when your conscious guard sleeps, the subconscious plays out unresolved emotions, hidden desires, and suppressed memories. A nightmare may represent unresolved fear. A recurring dream might symbolize an inner conflict. Even strange dream scenarios carry emotional truth beneath symbolism. The subconscious paints pictures because it cannot speak words. It uses metaphor because it cannot debate logic. And during the day, intuition, those sudden gut feelings, acts as the subconscious warning or guiding you based on millions of stored patterns. It notices subtleties your conscious mind misses, tone shifts, micro-expressions, energy changes in a room. Where logic analyzes slowly, the subconscious reacts instantly. If your logical mind is the captain, your subconscious is the silent navigator who sees beneath the surface. Yet most people ignore this language because society worships logic and dismisses intuition as irrational. But intuition is not irrational. It is ancient intelligence, formed from every experience and emotional imprint you carry. When you feel uncomfortable around someone for no obvious reason, your subconscious may be recalling signals you once learned to associate with danger or manipulation. When you feel drawn to a path that makes no logical sense, your subconscious may be recognizing future alignment your conscious mind cannot see yet. The key is not to drown in emotion, but to learn to interpret it. Emotion without reflection becomes chaos, but emotion explored becomes wisdom. The subconscious offers signals, not commands. You are not meant to obey every feeling, but to listen to what it represents. Understanding this language means slowing down enough to notice. Instead of asking, "Why do I feel this way?" ask, "What is this feeling trying to tell me?" Anxiety may be telling you there's unresolved fear beneath your confidence. Sadness may reveal deeper unmet needs. Resistance may signal a boundary or insecurity. Your subconscious is constantly trying to make you aware of what your conscious mind refuses to acknowledge. When you stop ignoring emotional signals and start decoding them, your internal world becomes less confusing. Feelings turn from enemies into guides, and inner chaos becomes inner clarity. True intelligence is not just thinking. It is listening to the mind that speaks without words. When you master the emotional language of the subconscious, you gain access to a form of knowing that is deeper, faster, and more honest than logic alone could ever provide. The subconscious mind operates through habits and repeated patterns, which means your daily routines are far more powerful than your momentary bursts of motivation. People often believe they are shaped by big decisions, dramatic moments, or sudden inspiration, but in reality, identity is sculpted by what you repeatedly do, think, and feel when nobody is watching. A single gym session does not transform your body, but the habit of discipline does. One moment of confidence does not rewrite insecurity, but consistent self-affirmation slowly replaces old doubt. Your subconscious learns through repetition, rituals, behaviors, emotional cycles. Every time you choose comfort over growth, procrastination over discipline, distraction over focus, that choice becomes easier the next time. The subconscious does not question whether a habit helps or harms. It simply strengthens whatever you give it most often. This is why breaking negative patterns feels painful. You are not just changing an action, you are confronting an internal script the subconscious has accepted as your identity. Someone who has always withdrawn under stress has trained their subconscious to believe avoidance equals safety. Someone who constantly seeks validation has conditioned their subconscious to equate approval with worth. Habits are not physical, they are psychological programs, and when you try to rewrite them, your subconscious resists not because the new behavior is bad, but because it is unfamiliar. Growth feels uncomfortable not because you are weak, but because you are asking your mind to abandon a survival strategy it has relied on for years. Understanding this takes shame out of change. You are not broken, you are rewiring. The same principle applies to thinking patterns. Thoughts repeated become beliefs. Beliefs repeated become identity. Identity repeated becomes destiny. If a person constantly tells themselves, "I can't," the subconscious will treat that as instruction. If they repeat, "I am capable," the subconscious will slowly accept that too. Whatever narrative you reinforce is the reality you eventually live. The subconscious cannot differentiate between what you fear and what you desire. It only absorbs repetition. This means the stories you tell yourself matter more than you realize. A single doubt may not stop you, but daily doubt becomes self-limitation. One moment of hope may not free you, but daily hope becomes inner strength. Repetition is the architect of the subconscious. So the real question is not what you want, but what you practice. Do you practice worry or gratitude? Do you rehearse failure or visualize success? Do you repeat excuses or effort? The subconscious is always learning from you, whether you teach it intentionally or accidentally. If you do not consciously choose your habits, your subconscious will choose them for you, based on fear, comfort, and old emotional scripts. The path to transformation is not dramatic effort, but consistent influence, small wins, showing up, trying again, speaking kindly to yourself, facing one fear at a time, eventually overpower years of mental programming. When repetition aligns with your desired identity, change stops feeling like a battle and begins to feel like becoming. Your subconscious is always building you. Make sure it builds the version you actually want to be. The subconscious mind holds emotional memories far more powerfully than logical ones, and this means that much of who you are today is shaped by feelings you did not resolve rather than thoughts you consciously chose. A single painful moment can bury itself deep within you and quietly influence your self-worth, your relationships, your fears, and your ambitions. You may forget the words someone once said to you, but your subconscious remembers the emotion attached to them. If you were humiliated, your subconscious stores the fear of embarrassment. If you were abandoned, it records the fear of losing people. If you were criticized constantly, it internalizes the belief that you must be perfect to be loved. These emotions do not disappear. They simply sink beneath awareness and continue guiding your reactions. This is why people often don't understand their own behavior. They say, "I don't know why I always do this," when the truth is the subconscious has been repeating emotional patterns learned long ago. Unresolved emotions act like ghosts inside the mind, haunting decisions, sabotaging relationships, and whispering doubts at the worst times. You may find yourself angry over small things, not because the trigger is big, but because the emotion behind it has been sitting quietly for years. You may hesitate to try something new, not because you lack ability, but because your subconscious is terrified of repeating past failure. Emotional memories become psychological walls. You are not fighting the world, you are fighting your past, and the most dangerous emotions are not the ones that rage loudly. They are the quiet ones that you learned to numb. Suppressed sadness becomes apathy. Suppressed fear becomes overthinking. Suppressed loneliness becomes emotional withdrawal. Suppressed anger becomes anxiety. The subconscious does not forget, it waits. Yet the subconscious is not trying to torture you, it is trying to protect you. When emotions go unresolved, the subconscious keeps them alive so you remain alert to danger. It believes holding on to pain prevents you from experiencing it again. But the paradox is tragic. In protecting you from feeling hurt again, it prevents you from feeling free, open, and fully alive. Healing does not happen by denying emotion. It happens by allowing yourself to feel it safely. Awareness dissolves suppression. Instead of running from emotion, you must turn toward it and ask, what wound is this trying to show me? When you feel jealous, insecure, avoidant, defensive, these are not flaws, but messages. The subconscious is saying, look here, something still hurts. To release emotional memory, you must acknowledge it instead of numbing it. You must let the body express what the mind buried. Crying, reflection, journaling, meaningful conversation, silence, therapy, these are not signs of weakness, they are acts of inner liberation. Healing is not forgetting, it is reprocessing. Once the subconscious realizes that the pain no longer threatens your safety, it stops clinging to it. What once felt like a wound becomes wisdom. What once triggered fear becomes strength. When you face the emotion instead of running from it, it no longer controls you. And that moment, when you take back the emotional truth buried inside you, is when the subconscious stops being a prison and becomes your ally in personal freedom. Many people drift through life believing their habits are simply who they are, when in reality, habits are emotional agreements you made with your past. Every self-sabotaging behavior has a reason, and it usually begins as a survival strategy. The habit to procrastinate, the habit to avoid confrontation, the habit to chase validation, the habit to overwork, the habit to shut down. They all began as emotional solutions long before they became behavioral problems. At some point, a younger version of you learned that a particular behavior kept you safe. Avoiding responsibility protected you from failure. Overthinking protected you from making painful mistakes. Pleasing others protected you from rejection. Staying busy protected you from feeling empty. And so the mind stored these habits as emotional defenses. They feel automatic not because you're weak, but because your subconscious still believes that without them, you would break. This is why change feels so difficult. You are not just trying to abandon a habit. You are trying to abandon what once felt like protection. Your subconscious sees change not as improvement but as danger. It clings to the familiar even when the familiar hurts you. People say discipline is the answer, but discipline alone cannot override emotional memory. If a habit is rooted in fear, punishment will not erase it. The mind does not heal through force, it heals through understanding. The first step to transformation is recognizing the emotional need behind the habit. Ask yourself, what pain is this behavior protecting me from? What fear is it avoiding? What past situation taught me this was necessary? When you understand the emotional origin, the behavior stops feeling like a flaw and starts becoming something you can consciously reshape. Change becomes possible when you stop fighting yourself and start listening to yourself. Instead of judging your habits, become curious about them. Instead of demanding perfection, offer patience. The brain rewires through repetition, yes, but it also rewires through safety. When you allow yourself to feel safe being imperfect, growth becomes less about forcing and more about unfolding. This is why kindness toward yourself is not indulgence. It is neurological strategy. Shame freezes progress. Compassion accelerates it. You can't hate yourself into discipline. You can only support yourself into evolution. As you peel back the emotional layers behind your habits, you reclaim your power. The moment you understand why a habit formed is the moment you stop being controlled by it. You become the observer rather than the prisoner, and slowly you replace survival-based patterns with purpose-driven ones. Habits then shift from emotional reflexes to conscious choices. That is where transformation truly begins, not in punishing yourself into change, but in understanding yourself into freedom. When your habits are no longer echoes of past pain, they become expressions of your highest potential. When we speak of reprogramming the subconscious mind, it's not about forcing change. It's about planting new emotional truths and giving them time to grow. The subconscious does not respond to logic, timelines, or pressure. It responds to repetition, imagery, emotion, and identity. This is why simply knowing what to do is never enough. People don't change because they understand. They change because they feel something powerful enough to create a new internal reality. The subconscious is like soil. It will grow whatever seeds are consistently planted, whether they are seeds of fear or seeds of expansion. So the question becomes, what internal story are you watering daily? Are you rehearsing failure in your mind or practicing success? Are you replaying memories of not being enough or creating visions of becoming more? Every thought is a rehearsal for the life you are building. To transform your subconscious, you must actively direct your inner dialogue. Instead of repeating, "I can't do this," you train yourself to say, "I am learning to do this." Instead of saying, "I always mess things up," you affirm, "I am capable, and I am getting stronger every day." These statements are not about pretending problems don't exist. They are about creating the emotional environment that gives your mind permission to grow. If your subconscious believes something is impossible, your actions will always shrink to match that belief. But when you teach it that growth is safe, effort becomes natural, opportunities appear, and self-belief becomes automatic. This is why people who truly transform don't chase motivation, they build identity. They don't try to act confident, they train themselves to feel worthy beneath the surface. Mirror affirmations, visualization, journaling, meditation, emotional regulation, and conscious language are all tools, not to impress the mind, but to reshape it. When you visualize the life you desire with emotion and clarity, the subconscious begins to treat it as familiar rather than foreign. When you repeat empowering beliefs daily, they stop feeling forced and start becoming instinct. When you act in alignment with the identity you are building, even in small ways, you send your subconscious a message, "This is who I am now," and identity always dictates behavior. You do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your inner programming. So if you want to change your life, don't start by changing the outside. Start by rewriting the inner script that shapes everything you touch. Transformation doesn't happen by accident. It is built through consistent, intentional mental training, quiet rewrites, private wins, subtle internal shifts that eventually become undeniable external change. At first, it feels like nothing is happening. But slowly, something awakens. The way you walk, the way you speak to yourself, the way you carry pain, the expectations you hold for your life. Your subconscious stops being a prison and becomes a foundation. And one day, you realize the world didn't change. You did. You became the person your old self once doubted was possible.